After many failures, SpaceX finally got the SES-22 communication satellite into a geostationary transfer orbit. By the end of the first half of 2022, SpaceX will have already done 27 orbital launches. This is the 35th launch of a Falcon 9 of SpaceX, which took 33 weeks to finish. Would you like to know more about it? Then stay tuned. Welcome to Techmo. In today's video, we are going to talk about the SpaceX's 35th Falcon 9 launch. But before we make it to the video, make sure you subscribe to our channel for more premium content and hit the notification bell to be the first to watch our videos. The launch of the SES-22 communication satellite into geostationary transfer orbit by SpaceX was a success, bringing the company's total number of orbital launches to 27 by the end of the first half of 2022. The launch of the SES marked SpaceX's 35th mission since the company's previous launch pause of multiple weeks, which ended 33 weeks ago. This may be of greater significance. In other words, SpaceX has just a third of the way to go in order to achieve a running average of one launch per week over a period of 12 months. This is not exactly the goal that CEO Elon Musk had in mind, but it is still an impressive accomplishment. At 5:04 p.m., following a delay of either 1 or 2 days, SpaceX's Falcon 9 successfully launched from the LC-40 pad at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Booster B-1073, which was flying for the second time, was responsible for transporting the SES-22 satellite, payload fairing, and a roughly 100-ton Falcon upper stage most of the way out of the Earth's atmosphere before separating, navigating back to Earth, and landing aboard drone ship. A short fall of gravitas, some 666 kilometers off the coast of Florida, B-1073 reached its maximum speed of 2.25 kilometers per second, which is equivalent to Mach 6.6 or 5,000 miles per hour, and it coasted to an altitude of 120 kilometers. During the 27th launch of a Falcon 9 in the year 2022, SpaceX successfully placed the SES-22 communication satellite into geostationary transfer orbit. Wednesday, June 29th at 5:04 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time was the day of the launch. This marked the start of a launch window that would last for 2 hours and 10 minutes and originate from Launch Complex 40 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. The Falcon 9 booster 1073 was launched on a course that was heading eastward, which is the typical flight path that satellites take when they are launched from Florida into a geostationary transfer orbit. While the fairing halves are scheduled to be retrieved by the support ship Dog, the first stage successfully landed in the Atlantic Ocean on the drone ship, a short fall of gravitas. This was the second mission completed by Booster 1073. The initial launch took place on May 14th and originated from Launch Complex 40. Booster 1073 was responsible for the successful launch of 53 satellites during the Starlink Group 415 mission. This identical booster made a landing on the drone ship as well. It took 46 days to complete the turnaround for B-1073, which involved Starlink, Group 415 and SES-22. The second stage of the launch vehicle successfully placed the SES-22 satellite into the required geostationary transfer orbit before releasing the spacecraft. The spacecraft will now coast to its apogee before firing its own engines to circularize the orbit. The spacecraft is designed to support direct home-to-C-band telecommunication services for the United States and will eventually be positioned over the equator in a slot located at 135 degrees west. SES-22, a satellite that weighs 3.5 tons and was originally constructed as a ground spare as part of a 2-satellite contract with Thales Alenia Space, was acquired by the company SES. The Spacebus 4000 B2 bus is a tried-and-true platform that has been utilized by numerous satellites in the past, including Bangabandhu 1, Nilesat 301, Telcom 3S, and others. This bus will serve as the foundation for the SES-22 and SES-23 satellites that are part of this contract. The FCC mandated several years ago that satellite operators clear the 280 MHz range of the C-band spectrum, in addition to a 20 MHz guard band, in order to make room for the 5G mobile services in the contiguous United States. As a result, SES-22 is in the process of being launched as a now-launching spare. Mobile operators were supposed to have access to a portion of the C-band spectrum as early as last December, but the agency's full Phase 2 accelerated relocation deadline for satellite operators is set for December 5th of 2023. SES, a company based in Luxembourg, made an initial purchase of 4 communication satellites from 2 companies in the US in June of 2020 in order to meet this FCC deadline for satellite operators. The SES-18 and SES-19 satellites will be constructed by Northrop Grumman and will be based on the GeoStar 3 platform. On the other hand, the SES-20 and SES-21 satellites will be constructed by Boeing and will be based on their 702SP all-electric satellites. 2 months later, SES placed an order with Thales Alenia Space for the SES-22 and SES-23 platforms to serve as backup spare satellites. These satellites would assist the company in meeting the FCC C-band spectrum clearance deadline in the event that the other satellites did not launch successfully or experienced other problems. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic-related supply chain constraints and component reliability issues, Northrop Grumman experienced construction delays with the SES-18 and SES-19 satellites. As a result, the launch of the SES-22 satellite was scheduled to occur as it had been completed. The SES-22 satellite is the first of several that will assist SES in moving its services to a different part of the C-band. Following the launch of SES-22, the SES-20 satellite, which was manufactured by Boeing and will be launched alongside its identical twin spacecraft SES-21 on an Atlas V no sooner than August of this year. Even though the Northrop Grumman satellites SES-18 and 19 are currently scheduled to fly no earlier than this October, according to a quarterly report filed by SES with the FCC, there is a significant risk the satellites will not be commercially available by the end of 2022. In order to get the SES satellite built and shipped to the launch site, SES and Thales Alenia Space had to work around challenges brought on by the pandemic as well as the conflict in Ukraine. Because there were no Antonov An-124 heavy-lift cargo planes available, the satellites SES-22 and Nilesat 301 were transported to Port Canaveral on the cargo ship Celtic, which is a Dutch vessel. The launch and early orbit phase of the SES-22 spacecraft is estimated to take around 10 days to complete, and the spacecraft is scheduled to begin operations sometime in the month of August. SES will be able to satisfy the requirement imposed by the FCC to clear the lower 300 MHz of the C-band beginning with the launch of this satellite. The services offered by the company will be shifted to the upper 200 MHz of the C-band as a result of the SES-22 and its sister satellites. SES-22 is the 11th satellite to be constructed using the Spacebus 4000 B2 platform, and SES-23 is the 12th. It is not known at this time what the fate of the sister satellite to SES-23 will be. However, it is a spare satellite that will cover SES in the event of unforeseen circumstances that would otherwise cause the company to run the risk of missing the December 2023 C-band clearance deadline. The market for the launch of geostationary satellites had been in a slump for the better part of the later half of the previous decade, but there has been an increase in the number of orders for new spacecrafts in 2019 and 2020. This wave of orders included the 6 SES satellites because both SES and Intelsat required new spacecraft in order to transition their services from the lower portion of the C-band so that they can be utilized by mobile 5G networks. Even though constellations of communication satellites in low Earth orbit, such as Starlink and OneWeb, are gaining popularity, geostationary satellites are still required to provide services in the US and around the world. So that's all for today's video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you want to watch more videos like this one, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications so that you will always be notified.